We travel to the US, Germany, and France in search of answers. Tonight, I'm Busted. Cabin fever. You may have only heard that term at the height of the 2020 pandemic. But if you live in the wintry north, such as Michigan, then you know its symptoms all too well. Lake Michigan draws millions of tourists to its sandy shores throughout the summer months. Quaint towns dot the lakeshore, offering waterfront cabins and boat rentals. Fall color tours keep the tourists engaged to witness the changing of the season when summer gives way to autumn. But what happens when winter strikes and tourists leave? Businesses hang signs that read "See you next summer." In the north, residents are driven inside by lake effect snow. Bicycles once leaned against houses are replaced by snow shovels. Convertibles traded out for four-wheel drive trucks, and sandals are stored away for the more practical winter boots. So why then did a woman forego the warnings of flu season and lead a group of naked fitness explorers down a snowy path? Dr. Haberdashery explains.
In Michigan, we refer to it as the winter blues. Our daylight hours are shorter, and social events are cut back drastically. It's important to take precautions. Limit alcohol intake. Make it a point to reach out to friends and family. Increase your vitamin D intake. And exercise.
For a small group in a quiet town, one misstep in that advice nearly cost them their toes.
We saw Dr. Haberdashery's advice on a YouTube short and thought, OMG, we could totally do that. I called up some friends and they were able to make it over for a small dinner party before the ice storm. We had no idea Jen had started her party early. By the time she got dropped off at the house, she was already half a bottle down of Chardonnay.
According to Detective Amy, assigned to the home office of the investigating detective agency in Michigan, the party took a chilly turn when the short video was replayed. That's when Jen decided to initiate the winter run. Under the guise of warding off the winter blues, she coerced the rest of the partygoers to start running the maze of walking trails, while leaving an article of clothing every 20 yards.
It was really cold. Let's just leave it at that.
It's unknown how many revelers ended up with pneumonia for the stunt, but there was one case of frostbite. Since the incident, Detective Amy tells us a local gym has offered a winter blues discount. Inappropriate jogging attire, or lack thereof, is not only a problem in the U.S. Detective Alexa of the Texas-based investigating detective agency received a frantic call from her assistant Shane while on vacation to Poppycock, France. In a surprising turn of events, Shane awoke at a police station wearing only an orange jumper, a sharp contrast to the clothes he wore to dinner in celebration of his cousin's birthday on New Year's Eve. After posting bail, Detective Alexa flew to France where she discovered the cousin's girlfriend had indulged in a little too much wine, pressing others to do the same. Upon being forcefully removed from the upscale restaurant due to her passionate cries for French pastries, the woman coerced her cousins and friends to strip out of their clothes in protest and run the city streets, shouting, "We need crepes." We now travel to Flora, France, birthplace of the Concours des Villes et Villages Fleuris, or Competition of Cities and Villages in Bloom, an annual contest held in France to encourage communities to improve quality of life and attractiveness to visitors. Winning villages receive 1 to 4 flowers to show off on their village signs. Meet Claudette, of Ville et Denver. A retired school teacher, she cultivated her award-winning garden with blood, sweat, and tears. And her neighbor Sarah, of Isle Sans Pittsburgh, who left her career in a highly competitive sales arena to use her savings to hire professionals to create her luxurious garden. Once friends, the pair would joke about crossing the border for tea. Now they are calling for border security.
It was insane. Claudette was insane. On New Year's Eve, I had a small garden party to celebrate my efforts to earn my village 4 flowers on our sign. Claudette was there talking about how I didn't have the passion she did for flowers and how unfair it was. All of a sudden I turned Irish.
We were unable to get an interview with Claudette, but were told by Detective Alexandria of the Investigating Detective Agency that Claudette found a frying pan used by a caterer to make a flambé dessert and used that pan to kill Sarah's prize-winning roses. This crime of floral passion has caused a rivalry between the two villages, so much so that the authorities of Villette Denver refused to extradite Claudette. But is that the end of the story? Fast forward less than 2 months, Valentine's Day in Paris. The Eiffel Tower has seen millions of proposals, anniversaries, and other romantically inclined tourists. Sarah of Isle Sands, Pittsburgh, has been chosen to produce hundreds of bouquets to sell at the Eiffel Tower to help lovers convey their emotions. Emotions Sarah has very little of for her neighbor, Claudette. In retaliation for her battered roses, Sarah hired a construction crew to build a fence on her property border, just 1 meter away from Claudette's 300-year-old stone wall. The result was catastrophic. The wall fell, taking with it the peace, harmony, and floral escape once enjoyed by Claudette. Authorities had little recourse as both parties remained on their property, but history tells us Claudette won't take this lying down. Detective Lizzie, vacationing in the area with Georgette Travel Bureau, tells us that in the early morning hours of Valentine's Day, Claudette, fueled by rage and wine, mowed down her neighbor's plants. By the time Sarah heard the commotion, it was too late. Claudette, now serving a 60-day sentence for menacing and operating a lawnmower under the influence, says she is enjoying her time in the jail's inmate-run garden. You've seen him in Deadpool, Free Guy, The Proposal, and more. Known for his wit and Canadian good looks, Ryan Reynolds fans all over the world hang posters on their walls of his charming smile and join fan clubs. A few ink his image on their bodies as a lifetime homage. Amid a conference in Mexico City hosted by the Investigating Detective Agency, 2 detectives were dispatched to investigate 2 seemingly separate crimes. Detective Jennifer arrived at a tattoo parlor the afternoon of Valentine's Day. Witnesses tell her a blonde female stumbled into the parlor, demanding a tattoo of Ryan Reynolds depicting him as the blue shirt guy. Across town, Detective Lolitha was photographing the scene of a police car with a wine bottle lodged under the brake pedal. They would soon discover a link when convening for lunch at a food truck to discuss their cases. As the detectives reached for their tacos, they noticed a wide-eyed Mary shakily handing their prepared lunch and confessed. In the early morning hours of Valentine's Day, Mary, a local food truck vendor, was preparing pink tacos in celebration of the Day for Lovers. Saddened and angry over a recent breakup, her night of binge-watching Ryan Reynolds movies did little to ease her heartbreak. Neither did the bottle of wine she consumed. After breaking her 3rd pink taco shell in a row, Mary stopped singing It's a Sweet, Sweet Fantasy Baby, picked up her frying pan, and stormed across the street to Casa Inc. and demanded a tattoo of the one man who didn't let her down, Hollywood heartthrob Ryan Reynolds. Upon learning the artist called police, Mary hid around the corner at a local bar and traded her frying pan for another bottle of Merlot. While the police were distracted by getting witness statements, Mary, with nothing better to do and nothing else to lose, jumped into the driver's seat of the cop car and sped away, only returning to her food truck after crashing the police car into a traffic barrel. When asked why she confessed so easily, Mary responded that it would be cheaper for her to get a tattoo in prison than across the street. Germany has made the headlines once again thanks to Detective Mindy out of the Utah Division of the Investigating Detective Agency. Sharing a building with a local Starbucks, Detective Mindy learned that over the New Year's Eve in Hamburg, Germany, a Starbucks was broken into well after closing. Speaking with German investigators, Detective Mindy helped put together the pieces of the puzzle. On New Year's Eve, a blonde woman with $37 in her pocket broke into the popular coffee business using only a pencil. It became clear what she was looking for when baristas discovered the words, "Need more coffee," written on the Vendy-sized cups. After discussing the case with the manager at her local Starbucks, Detective Mindy was connected with the manager of the Hamburg Starbucks. Using her finely crafted detective skills, Detective Mindy learned the suspect was none other than the assistant manager, who was upset with not receiving an invitation to a New Year's Eve party. So with nothing better to do, she returned to the one place she was always welcome. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Busted on Sinister Saturday. We look forward to seeing you next week on another episode where we solve more crimes around the world. My name is Mandy Bryce, and these folks have been busted.